Hey guys, Taylem here, and today we're going to take a closer look at the Nexus Mod's new Vortex Alpha, as well as comparing it to the existing version of Mod Organizer 2. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to install a mod in Vortex, and then also in Mod Manager, and with each mod, I'm going to show you how it installs it, just so you can be aware of the differences between the two. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up our Vortex program. If you do not already have this installed, you can install it if you want to follow along on what I do, but I really recommend you watch this video first before you make a concrete decision on which mod manager you want to make use of. With that being said, I do want to stress that both of these mods are still in both of these mod managers are still in development, so there will be things that they don't currently have as features. And there are things that neither will ever have as features, and I will try to go into a bit of a guesswork as to what those features will and won't be. Now, don't quote me on any of those. They could be integrated later or never. We really don't know for sure. What we do know is that both of these mod managers have dedicated teams behind them, with Vortex, of course, having an actual paid crew to develop it, whereas Mod Manager 2 is community volunteer work, and thus its development is considerably slower. But we're going to try to stay on topic best we can, and what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you how to install a mod in Vortex. We will be using Skyrim Special Edition as our source game. I'm not going to show you how to do profiles or anything like that. That is pretty forward, and I believe I showed a little bit how to do that in the previous Vortex video. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and go over to our mod section. As you can see, we don't have any mods installed. Now I'm going to manually install a mod that I downloaded from the Nexus. It's a rather beefy one. It's because I want to show you how this mod is utilized, how it's stored on your system. So we're going to go install from file, and we're going to navigate over to our downloads, to right here to our Sim Special Edition, or SMIM. And we're going to go in and click on OK. And as you can see, it's installing it up here at the top. Now, it is a rather large mod, so it is going to take a little bit of time. Alright, as we can see, the SMIM is now completed. Now, at this point, you can actually enable it from the button here, but we're not going to do that just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the mod location where Vortex put this installed version of SMIM. If you don't know where that is, you can just go ahead and go to settings, over to your Vortex mods button here, and you can see the download path, your base path, and your install path. The base path is where Vortex is set up. For me, I put it on D games. The D drive is my big SSD. That is where I have Skyrim Special Edition installed, and I sort of like to keep all my game utilities together. The mod developers suggest keeping it in the default install directory. I don't play that way. I'm a little rebel when it comes to that, so I do it this way. The download path, this is where your archives are downloaded and installed. I would, in the end, I have it set for base, but I will be changing this. I will be changing this to my HDD because I do not want to use my SSD storage space to store archives. There's no reason to do that. Those archives are only utilized when you install a mod or reinstall. Now, the install path, this you want to have on your SSD. This you want to have in the same drive that your Skyrim Special Edition is installed. Because of the limitations of the way this works, the hard links require that the mods be stored on the same drive as your program. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, does this double up on the mod space? Does this cause issue with that? Well, I'm going to try to explain that to you right now. Now, hard links work in kind of the generic term, ghost files. Just empty files at the install location that will point to where the mods actually are. Kind of a deceptive method of doing so. I mean, that is just a generic way to try to explain that to you. But let me go ahead and give you kind of a visual aid of what that actually means and what happens. So we're going to go back to the mods here, and let's actually go to our mods folder. So we know we put it in D drive, games, we stuck it in Vortex and mod. So there's the SMIM folder right there, all installed. Let's go to properties, see how big it is, and it's 0.99 gigabytes. So it's almost a full gig in size, which is a pretty hefty size for a texture mod. And if we go into our Skyrim Special Edition folder here, we can go ahead and go to properties, and we will see that it's 12.9 gigabytes in size. Remember these numbers. So let's go ahead and actually do one more thing. Let's go now to our D drive, go to properties, and we will see that the use space is 224 gigabytes in size with 670 free. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, why am I seeing all these numbers? Is it even necessary? Well, kinda. I want to explain to you how this hard link system works in kind of a visual way instead of trying to get all technical and ridiculous with it. So we're going to go ahead and enable the mod. Now, what this does is it actually will physically enable this mod within Skyrim Special Edition. So when you run the game, this mod now works. If you go here to plugins, you see that we have the SMIM Purge ESP ready to go and enabled in your load order. Let's jump back into this and check our numbers here. So we're going to go on the Skyrim Special Edition. Now, we know that SMIM is now installed and it was almost a gig in size. And we go to properties, we see that it is now a gig bigger. And we're thinking, oh my god, is Vortex basically doubling up on the mod required space? Not only do we have it in the D mods folder, but we now also have an additional gig in the Skyrim directory. Well, as I said before, this is a deception. If we go over to the D now and we check the properties, as you can see, we're still at 224. The size is increased marginally. That is only in the byte sizes for the hard link folders, for the fake files as they were. Because if you go in here and we go to data and we go to the textures that were installed by SMIM, all this stuff, as you can see, a lot of it is empty, and this is actually a false file. This is just a hard link. It's just a way for the game to look at, oh, I got the file for the texture right here, but the game is being deceived by Vortex. The game is actually looking at the file that's stored here in Vortex mods. It's actually seeing these textures. So while this may be misreporting the amount of space being used, this drive is not. This setting here is actually telling you the real size that's being used. And that is one of the side effects of hard link, especially if you're used to like Mod Organizer, because Mod Organizer keeps the install directory completely clean. I mean, there's never anything. That's because it uses a virtual system. Basically, the game thinks the mods are installed in the directory, but really it is just a text file telling the game where the mods actually are. So it's like a glorified middleman. Now, is the virtual system slower than the hard link system? Not by any noticeable degree, especially with newer computers, SSDs and whatnot. I would say no. You would have to be Mr. Data from Star Trek The Next Generation to maybe notice any variable speed difference. All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and now disable this. Okay, it's now disabled. And let's go ahead and check our numbers again. Let's go to Skyrim Special Edition, go to Properties, and we're back down to 12.9. That's because all the hard links have been removed. Now, you're probably wondering, what? There's still crap in there, but they're empty. You see? Delete if empty. That means directories are no longer being used. Now, this is one side effect of hard links, is that the directories and whatnot still remain, and that can make it look a little messy. But you can purge mods, and what it'll do is it will purge the entire directory of Skyrim. So we go to Purge Mods, went ahead and did that. Let's go back in there, and let's look again, and everything's gone. But be warned that that will also purge all your mods that you have other than that one. So you will have to maybe redeploy everything. But that's just clicks of a button. Just FYI, if you really want to make sure that there's no floating directories out there that you don't need. Now, with that being said, Vortex is still in alpha. There's still a lot of tweaks and a lot of management things that need to be done. So you can't judge this program based on what it is right now. It's really going to take a couple months when we see a final beta before we have a strong grasp of where Vortex is and where it is going in the future. All right, now I'm going to show you guys Mod Organizer. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, I will state that Mod Organizer has a much smaller development team. It is all community run, all done by volunteers. Nobody gets paid. They picked up the project after Tannen, who was the original creator, went to work for Nexus Mods in a paid job to develop Vortex. And as such, Vortex is going to follow the ideology that Nexus Mods wants the program to, yet hopefully retain the advanced features that Mod Organizer did. But I really don't think it's going to have everything. It's not going to work the same way. And as you can see, Mod Organizer is a much less fancy UI. Vortex had the menus. It was very well integrated into the Nexus Mod's website, which they spent a lot of time and money to revamp to be very modern. Almost has that Windows 10, multi-windowed tablet almost appearance. But as you can see, for me, I use classic shell. I just love the old style. That the new fancy window thing, I hate it. I hate it to my core. Maybe that's just an old dog thing to me, but I just don't like it. But with Mod Organizer, I love the setup the way it is by basic. I mean, we have our plugins here. We have our archives, our data files. We can see everything that's installed, saves, downloads, everything is right here. The mods are listed, creating profiles is simple and easy, switching between them. As far as the advanced features go, Mod Organizer crushes Vortex at this time, but as I said, Vortex is still in early alpha, so we can't judge it completely by its current state. We have to wait till later to see if the advanced tools catch up to Mod Organizer. But we're just going to talk about right now of how the mods are installed. So we're just going to go ahead and install the exact same mod manually. So let's go to the downloads, let's go to Shmim, and open it up. Now, of course, this is going to take a while because Shmim is huge. So let's let it do its thing. All right, as we can see, Shmim has done installing. Now let's go ahead and right-click on this. We'll go to Open Explorer. And as you can see, I installed the mods within the Mod Organizer folder within Skyrim Special Edition. So this is going to automatically make the Skyrim folder larger. So if we go here and go to Properties, it's now up to 3.9. That's because I have the mod directly installed in Mod Organizer 2 folder within Skyrim Special Edition, but you can actually put it anywhere. If you have your Mod Organizer folder on a completely different drive other than your Skyrim install, it'll still work, whether it's an SSD or an HDD, although you always want your mods installed on a drive that is fast. Just as fast or faster than the drive that your Skyrim is installed on. That is because if you put your mods all on an HDD, whenever the game accesses those files, it's going to be running slower than the SSD. And so you're not going to be getting that full-fledged performance that you're going to want out of your game. So I always put my Mod Organizer folder within my Skyrim Special Edition install, and then have my mods stored within that. Now, this is default. I haven't changed anything yet. The downloads, I don't think I've redirected. Did I change them? See, I don't even remember. Yeah, my downloads, I haven't even changed it yet. It's all base default. So that is making it a little bigger than it needs to be. But the reason why I'm showing you this is to show you exactly how the versatility differences between the two. Vortex will always require the mods to be installed on the same drive as your game, period. That is just the limitation. So that's something that can't be changed. Now, the way the virtual system for Mod Organizer works is you can have the mods installed anywhere on your system without a problem. That's the big differences between the two. And that's a freedom that you lose with Vortex. It has me a little concerned. It's something that I feel is a big bummer. But as I said, I'm still reserving judgment until the program itself reaches into a final beta stage so we can exactly see what is going on. Now, you might be wondering, well, which one of these should I use? I really don't know. Well, Mod Organizer is a very advanced tool. If you're just not computer savvy at all, I would avoid using this. Just because it's very easy to screw things up. It's very easy to accidentally delete something, or to not check a box, or to just get lost in how the thing works. But to be honest with you, if you even have half a brain when it comes to modding your game, you should be able to work with Mod Organizer just fine. But let's go ahead and close this. If you prefer the more flashy, newer deal, the great integration, and the very active development process that Vortex has and will have, then you might want to stick with this. Because in the end, you want to pick one or the other. You don't want to be floating between both because they're not interchangeable. You can't use them both at the same time. You're going to run into a lot of problems. They're going to both be fighting for control. Just pick one or the other. And right now, if you're a very advanced user, I would recommend just sticking with what you have and not jumping into Vortex unless you just want to test it. That's because Vortex is still alpha, it's not complete, there's still a lot of features that are missing, so you don't really want to mess with your setup unless messing with your setup is your goal. If you have a set game, your game is running good, you have all your mods in place, don't bother transferring it over unless you want to potentially screw it up to give feedback. That's really my best advice, is don't do it unless you're prepared for the consequences of your choice. As for me, I am on the fence. I am not sure which one I'm going to utilize as my primary modding tool. I like Taylem and his work. He has a great work ethic. He's a hard worker. Nexus Mods is a site that I've been a part of for years. They're my go-to modding site for Bethesda games. But I am torn at the lack of advanced features that Vortex has. Vortex, of course, is being developed as a replacement for Nexus Mod Manager, which is designed as the basic go-to tool for everyone. Not advanced users, not just basic users, but everyone. So they're going to have to try to make a program that's easy enough for the basic users, yet offers the advanced tools for the serious hardcore modders, which is going to be difficult to do. I mean, they've already said some features they're not going to integrate themselves, but they will have Vortex be open for plugins for the community to make to add additional features, which is encouraging, but it's just a matter of more patience, of waiting for Vortex to get done and then waiting for the community to hop on it and fill in the gaps that the Vortex team didn't decide to fill. That being said, with Mod Organizer, let's go ahead and open that back up. The development team is small, but it's consistent. They have set goals to get Mod Organizer working perfectly with Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition predominantly. If you want to mod Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3, stick with the original Mod Organizer, because that is a completely stable beast of a program that works absolutely perfectly. So there's absolutely no reason to change anything in your setup in regards to those particular games. But for Fallout 4, Skyrim Special Edition, and onward, you're going to want to use the right tool. And it's really a waiting game right now to see if Mod Organizer V2 can continue to get development, if it can continue to rally people to their banner to get it up and running, or if Vortex really pulls out the advanced tools. It's really, as I said, a hard call, a hard waiting game to see what happens. But just keep your mind open. Keep your feedback constructive, and don't take offense when developers may sound a little short in their responses, because they're developing with a lot of questions and a lot of people, and some of them it's the internet. There's big, hairy, nasty, slobbery, disgusting, smelly trolls. That's just the way of the beast, and it's always been that way, and it will always be that way. So try to be as constructive as possible, but if you're really passionate about one of these programs, don't let it turn into a ridiculous Star Trek versus Star Wars kind of debate where, Vortex is better, Nexus Mods rules. No, Mod Organizer is better. It's the community, it's the community volunteers pulling together to rally to the cause. Don't do that. Everybody here is on the same playing field. We all share a love of the modding. We all want to see these programs succeed. I want to see both of them work great. I want people to have choices. I'm a big fan of choice. Pick the tool that you like, and really give it your all. I am going to be spending the next several months really debating between these two tools. I'm going to be reinstalling, installing, mod bananas. I'm just going to be going crazy between these two to see exactly which one is going to end up right for me. Alright guys, if you have any questions that I didn't cover, leave them down below and I'll get into them in a new video. For right now, I just wanted to get this information out there to help get you guys your brain chewing on this new topic of Vortex or Mod Organizer. And hey, we're just got to wait. We just got to see where it goes. Alright guys, this is Taylem, and I'll see you next time.